intimidation, threats. Even through all of that, things don't stop. So we felt like we had no other option but.
When Suzy Lamb recently came out on Instagram, she posted a distressing message that caused many people to cry. It seemed as though every word she wrote had weight. Before attempting to determine what went wrong, read her message and give it some time to truly impact us. At some point in our life, God will require each of us to perform some really difficult things. We must fully rely on Him for these things because they are beyond our capabilities. You can always choose. Many people refuse. Many choose the simple route. However, some people grasp God's hand and confidently proceed. There is nothing more valuable than Him. Remember not to forget. Even if there is excruciating anguish along that route, His presence is tremendous. We'll be able to navigate this journey with a profound sense of grace and serenity. We might not realize how long the anguish will linger until we are at our wits' end and yell, "End it, Lord. I can't take it any longer." "I've got you, though," He says. "Come walk with me." Indeed, we do. One day, He finally declares, "Assignment done. I'm glad for you. Take a rest now." The precious words are there. He resurrects, heals, and feeds. Suddenly, we're stronger and more resilient than we initially believed. Being able to trust Him through this has been one of the greatest things in my life. 100 times, I would. I will always say yes to Him. However, I am quite thankful that after a lot of difficult years, He eventually said, "Be free." Until it's time to run again, take a moment to appreciate the outdoors. I saw these trophy wife socks at a local store. After fulfilling a promise my father fulfilled, I'm celebrating and enjoying this joyous time of year, therefore I had to acquire them. It's okay if you've told God no to going down that difficult path and sacrificing your convictions for compromise. As long as you are still breathing, there is still time. Now say yes to Him. Tell Him that you will always have faith in Him. For Him, it's worth it. You'll get through it with His help. He is always true to His word. He is an excellent Father. Sometimes it's acceptable to feel terrible. Suzy and Jonathan Lamb have endured a great deal, as we are all aware. It was her decision to depart rather than continue living as a trophy wife. It made a big statement. It was difficult, but she had to step outside of her comfort zone to speak the truth. According to Joni Lamb, it is not surprising at all that Suzy forced Jonathan to discuss everything. Does it matter now, is the question. They're all back to their own lives now. Although it's not as robust as it once was, Daystar TV is still operational. Doug Weiss continues to do what he does best. Life does not have an end. The reason she revealed this is now fairly obvious. Not long ago, Jonathan put her on the spot. Both of them said that they were prepared to move on and let go of everything that had transpired. They also discussed how much money they could have gained by staying and how wealthy Daystar was. Here they are, however, prioritizing peace before profit. In any case, it appears that Mama Joni, sometimes known as Joni, has finally given her consent. Yes, Suzy and Jonathan are already aware of their goals. They are finally moving forward after all that back and forth. He's hoping his mother would reconsider. They have had a difficult time, but I believe they have come to terms with the situation. They've finally made the decision to move on, for good. Get out of line. You shouldn't expect the unexpected to happen. But a lengthy tale has been released. I see that they're really rich. This multi-million-dollar nonprofit employs them. How much have you guys spent on this? Have you experienced financial difficulties as a result? As JAR's vice president, I got paid fairly well. Just $23? No, number 22. Did you get that large bump at that time? Prior to that, in 2023, we were all the same. It was still a pleasant no, I must admit. Indeed. It was significant in 2022, but not really. 1 year as vice president. Indeed. We were afraid. When we said, well, people want to act like you have our home debt is still being repaid. Indeed. You know, even though you made more money and had a better life, you still have to pay your bills. We both, that is. Prior to that, when things were really starting to go south, he was elected president, which helped me in 22. We got in 22 after Dad departed, and Jonathan and I both made a respectable living. You may have decided it would be best to attempt to convince us to stay at that time, but we were ready. I mean, I fought God and cried, imploring him to tell me when Jonathan would be ready. I'm prepared to sell this house as a result. I'm prepared for a fresh start. 50 states are available for selection. For the cause of truth, we sacrifice everything. If we had simply followed the plan, set aside our opinions, read the card, and continued to have no reservations about Pete, we would have been the next president. Everything my dad had requested would have been granted to us. I was drawn to this film because I tried to thoroughly comprehend what goes on behind the scenes by doing a lot of study. The Truth and Spirit Network aired this program. And I must admit that their report was really outstanding. Doug has changed so much in the last few years that it's difficult to identify him. The fact that he is the same individual who took first place in a Colorado bodybuilding competition in 2021 seems odd. He was in excellent health at the moment. Doug Weiss is nearly 60 years old and obviously thrived on our program, they stated in a post about him. He was 62% hydrated and won a Colorado weightlifting tournament. He was still wed to Lisa Weiss at the time. I must admit that he looked fantastic. He was at the peak of his abilities, as evidenced by the vast amount of images and videos captured during that period. Something is awry, though, because he married Joni Lamb. Have you noticed it? Furthermore, I must add this. The rule of fate seems to operate so swiftly at times that you barely have time to comprehend it. Although perhaps not in the manner we typically assume, it does feel as though that rule is in effect in this instance. It may not be audible or seen. It is quite real, even if it is slow, quiet, or cunning. For this reason, you should also view this video. Everything is connected, much to how a mirror reflects the results of prior decisions. It strikes a different chord when seen in light of everything else. As though this is what occurs when the truth begins to come to light. When covert objectives are revealed, there are power struggles and manipulation. Yes, exactly. I hate to admit it, but even the employees found Doug a little frightening. When Doug visited, the women felt quite uneasy around him, despite the fact that he was a sex doctor. He frequently gave women the up and down look, as you may be aware. He had sex shows and was addicted to sex. He talked about sex much of the time, even at the women's meeting. That was our opinion of him. His words, in my opinion, were a bit too forceful for a Christian gathering. In fact, I wouldn't have had some of the conversations and said some of the things he is renowned for saying in public if I weren't in a religious setting. Those are some extremely awkward things to say, so he must have done that. However, I do believe that there are constructive and healthy methods to have those discussions. But he did laugh, and to be honest, Joni was among those who ridiculed it. I hate to say it, but that's the reality. As a result, she now ridicules his laughter. Indeed, without a doubt. You know she did. Indeed, without a doubt. It was precisely the frightful chuckle Shannon Kelly had heard in a dream, you know. Yes, exactly. The group members were aware that Joni would be there in such conversations and that he was an odd individual. I can therefore understand why she considers him to be her spouse. I hope she told him the truth since we both understood that being around him made us feel horrible. I believe he still claims that those with a sharp spirit are more likely to see and feel it, and some have even claimed that it makes them uncomfortable, based on what I've heard from people who have spent months with him. Being around him is a little strange, you know. I have no idea what's going on, but people should be afraid. He appears to be larger. He may be experiencing a health issue that none of us are aware of, as evidenced by his slurred speech. It's okay. But it's unsettling to see that side of him. With someone else. You're just displaying the JT, aside from that. Are you referring to something like this? This is how it appears, Okay, you've said enough. Yes, exactly. I believe I occasionally attend that show as well. The expression on her face tells it all in this footage from your show a few days ago. Oh, I see. She seemed to have felt awful about what he said. She is undoubtedly in a difficult situation and is unable to conceal it.